Hey guys, in this video we're going to be looking at a JavaScript password generator tutorial that Brad Traversy had posted, and I saw in some of the comments that this wasn't really random as it calls the same functions each time. So I wanted to give an update that I worked out. It is a truly random function, and just to kind of show you guys what it looks like. It's very similar to this, but it does pull completely random. So let's get started. So I'm just going to start with basic files. I'm not going to design anything. I'm just going to plop the HTML, CSS in, and then we'll work on the JavaScript. Do a little boilerplate here. I'm using VS Code, and we'll be using live server with this VS Code. Just so you're aware, there is a font awesome, and then we'll also link our style sheet, which is style.css, which we'll create now. And again, I'm just copying this. All right. Just like the single quotes here. And I like this tutorial because it had not as much design. It was more about doing the JavaScript, doing the actual random function. And I try to jump ahead in a lot of these tutorials just to stay fresh with JavaScript. I find it helps me stay a little bit more current if I push ahead in the tutorial and try to do it myself. And it was funny, it wasn't until the end that I looked through the comments and saw that there were issues because I had gone ahead and created my own version of the JavaScript. So I'm just going to close this out, bring my main.js down here, and what I'll do is I'll use live server. Just open this with live server so we can take a look at it, although we won't really be doing anything. Nothing works here. What we'll be doing is we'll be using the Unicode chart, so we'll pull from these numbers. There's a function in JavaScript called fromCharCode, string.fromCharCode, and what we can do is we can put in this number, and it'll reference this table, not this specific one, but the Unicode table, and it'll pull either capital A or lowercase a or whatever we want. So when we have these, include uppercase, include lowercase, numbers, etc., it's just going to pull from different things in here. So when I'm declaring variables, I'll declare this, and you'll see we'll put this in an array and go from there. So let's declare variables. We'll do a const results equals document.query selector, and we'll pull on result. That's what is in here. We have a few. Up here we have result, which is where we're going to put the result right here. And then our checkboxes are uppercase, lowercase, numbers, symbols, and then we have the generate button, which is where we're going to put our event listener. So we have results, and then outside of our event listener, I'm going to declare our arrays with the Unicode characters. So we can do this a couple different ways. The way I did it is I put an array with the minimum character and the maximum character, instead of just putting all the characters in. So I thought I didn't want to type them all out, so I just created a for loop later on. So what this is doing here, this is the Unicode num, and it's going to be 48 to 57. If we look here, num is 48 to 57, so that's going to pull 0 through 9. And it's basically going to be the same for the rest. Const uni upper equals the min and the max. Const uni lower equals min of 97, max 122, and then we have symbols. And these are going to be 33 through 47. So that'll give us pretty much everything in this. And I pulled all of these. Some of these might not work inside a standard password thing, but that's okay. So we have the results. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add event listener to generate button. And that's this button. We're going to click that. We're going to get all of these and this length, and we're going to put the results here. So I want to do document.querySelector, and I'm going to get the generate button by ID. I'm going to add an event listener, and we're looking for a click. And what we're going to do is we're going to call a function. We don't need the event parameter, so we're not passing anything in. And every time this fires, I want this to be brand new. So I'm going to declare these variables inside the event listener because I don't want any old values when I generate the password. So I'm going to do const length equals document.querySelector, and I'm looking for length. And I don't want the element, but I want the value. I want whatever is inside. I want whatever is inside of this, the value, and the same thing is going to happen here. With these, I'm going to do const upper equals document.querySelector, and I'm going to go with uppercase. And I'm going to do .checked, and we'll console log this out so we can see what we're going for here. So checked is going to give us a value of true or false. So when I check this and click the button, I'm either going to get true or false, and that'll determine whether or not what we bring into here is true or false, and we can go through the list of all of these. So I'm going to make a few more of these. Upper, lowercase. This is going to be const numbers, symbols, symbols. Declaring settings from DOM. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create, basically what we're going to do is we're going to take, these are going to represent a true and false value from the checkbox. So if only num is checked, we only want this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a random selector array. I'm just going to make it empty for now. And if we have uppercase and lowercase checked, then we're going to push all of these values to this array, and then we're going to pull randomly out of this array. And we also will need an array for our password. And then we'll just join that at the end. So now we have this, we're ready to kind of do our logic here. We're going to go, we're basically going to check if all these are true. If upper equals true, then we want to run a for loop, and go from the min to the max. And we could have just as easily written out all the numbers here, 48 to 57, but it looks a little cleaner here. Then we get to do a little more logic instead of just throwing numbers into an array. So that's a little more fun. Let I equal uni upper at 0. So we're starting our I off at this value, which is why we're calling the 0 index. And I want to do I while I is less than uni upper at the second index. We want to less than or equal to, because we want to get all the way there, I plus plus. So what this is doing, it's starting at this, it's declaring I, and it's saying, okay, we're going to start at 48, and then until we hit 57, we'll keep going, and up, including 57. So we're going to go through all these, and then we're just going to take rand selector dot push, and we're going to push I, because that's going to be what our number is. It's going to increment up. So that's for upper. And I'm just going to copy this because we're only going to change a few things. Uni lower, we have, numbers. Symbols. Okay, so now we should be able to console log rand selector. When we push this button, oh, uni numbers is not defined. Oh, I got this wrong. It should be num. And this should be sim. That's better. Okay, so now we have an array full of all of these Unicode numbers. If I take them away, you can see we only have 26. That's right, we should have 10 here. That's perfect. So our rand selector is working. So the way we're going to get them out of there is we're going to loop through rand selector, and we're going to get the length, and that's how we know how many we have to go through. Or actually, sorry, we're going to get this length right here, and we're going to make a for loop 20 times or whatever this length is, and go through this, and every time pick a random index from this. So let's do for let I equal 0. We want to start at 0. I is less than length, which is this declared variable from the DOM right here. I less than length, I plus plus. And inside here, we want to take our password dot push, and what we're going to push is a random element from this array here. So what we want to do is, this is going to return a Unicode character, and the function we're going to use is string dot from charcode, and we could do 96, which would be some random character, but we want a random one. So we're going to take rand selector, and we're going to look at a random index each time. The way we do this is we use math.floor, because we want to round down, and we want to round down to the closest one, math.random. And the way we tell math.random where we want our range to be is this will give us a random decimal value between 0 and 1. So when we're at math.floor, we're basically always setting this math.random function to 0. But if we put this in here, we can multiply this by whatever we need to, and then the floor of that will take over. So if we do times 10, it'll do 10 times whatever, and then math.floor will round down to that, and we'll see this. So math.random, and then we'll take rand selector dot length. So we're basically saying we want some whole number that is inside of this array at 77, the length of 77, if that makes sense. And then what we'll do here is pretty easy. Results dot text content equals password dot join, and we're just going to join on every index here. So now we get this. We can uncheck them all. We don't get any password. Just include symbols. Include numbers only. Include lowercase only. Include uppercase only. We can pull this way down. Select them all, and we're always going to get a random password, and it's never going to be in the same function. So it is a truly random function, which is kind of nice. It's not calling one single one. Since we're throwing all the values into an array, it just makes it easier to select a very random password. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, comment if you want to see anything else, and thanks for watching.